Welcome back. First, let me start by saying I love Serena Williams and think she's absolutely amazing. Serena Williams' response to the umpire during the 2018 US Open was the latest issue she had with match officials at the Grand Slam tournament. There had been a myriad of incidents Serena Williams had been penalized for during tennis matches, penalties a man had never been penalized for the same offense. Her outburst towards the umpire in that video was not anger that sparked from solely that incident. It was frustration and anger that had existed inside of her from historical treatment. That one incident just triggered it, and she couldn't stop herself from continual outbursts. The behavior Serena demonstrated was a normal human reaction to repressed frustration, anger, and some may even call it pain. The truth is, we are no different than Serena Williams. We all have emotional injuries that are stored deep in our psyches. For myself, growing up in a dysfunctional family, my father was a rageaholic. He would continuously go into rages and yell. As a helpless child, his yelling scared me. As an adult, anyone yelling at me triggers me. I am now self-aware and don't allow myself to be triggered by someone's yelling. However, it took many years of practice and meditation to not get triggered. The great news is, throughout this course, you will begin to learn what your triggers are and how to diffuse them so your emotions don't take over your negotiations. We are going to work with two elements of your emotional intelligence, your self-awareness and your self-management. Developing your emotional self-awareness means developing your ability to understand your own emotions and how they impact your behavior. When you exhibit limited self-awareness, you do not recognize the need to keep disruptive emotions under control. If you react angrily while negotiating, it makes it extremely difficult to build trust and rapport with your counterpart. This can end your negotiation before it even gets started. Regardless of whether the negotiation is cross-cultural, time-pressured, upwards with management, or downwards with your staff, you can focus on improving your emotional behavior to optimize your ability to influence in any negotiation. I'll share a little story with you about one of my amazing employees. I have always been very supportive of my employees and really encouraged them to grow. One day I was having a really bad day. I was stressed, I had a lot going on. And one of my employees asked me for feedback on something she had created for me. I quickly told her, that's not gonna work. Now, I never ever say that's just not gonna work. I usually sit down and say, well, this worked, this didn't work, this worked. You know, it's a strategy you will learn later called the sandwich. And that is tell them something positive before you tell them what didn't work. But that day, I didn't even think of it. I was just like, it's not gonna work. Well, and that was it. I didn't even remember that I had said that. Later that day, my employee calls me and says, I need to speak to you about something. And I said, yes. And she said, you hurt my feelings today. And I said, well, what did I do? And she said, you just told me it's not gonna work. That really made me feel like all my hard work I had done was irrelevant. Now, at that moment, I could have responded in so many different ways. I could have said like, you know, you gotta get over it. Of course, I would never say that, but that is an option. Or, you know, I'm sorry, and just kind of be like, whatever. But I really took a step back and I said, oh my gosh, I am so sorry. I didn't realize I was so consumed and caught up with my own stuff that was going on that I didn't even consider that you had invested so much time and energy into creating this project for me. And I really appreciate all the work that you do. And thank you for coming to me and sharing this with me, because now you've made me self-aware that I can get caught up and do these things. So please, in the future, if I ever do this again, let me know. Continue to come to me, because I don't want to be that type of person. By developing knowledge of your personal responses, thinking styles, and attitudes, you will better understand others' negotiation styles and how to better influence them. To become self-aware, also known as doing the inner work, means to look within yourself and assess your own temperament, your strengths, your weaknesses, your insecurities, fears, and internal triggers. Doing the inner work means getting prepared to deal with yourself. If you know you tend to lose your temper with someone who yells, pounds on the table, or is condescending during a negotiation, reflect on why those behaviors trigger you. Now, before our next lesson, I have some homework for you. I want you to think of a particular situation in which you were triggered. A difficult conversation with your boss, a heated discussion with a colleague, a tough talk with your business partner. Get really clear about that situation and answer the questions on the worksheet provided. I want you to take your time working in this particular worksheet, and I want you to be 100% honest with yourself. If certain emotions surface while answering the questions, let yourself feel them. Remind yourself that whatever you are feeling is an old wound that was already there. Please be empathetic with yourself while answering these questions. You deserve loving and empathic nurturance. See you soon.